Hi everyone, it's Lesley Oman here from Hungry Heffy Crafts, and I have got a card making video for you guys today, and it is all about creating a shaker card with different sections. So I've got 4 different Easter egg sections, and each of them have their own different colours of shaky beds. This card features the Heffy Doodle Honey Bunny Boo stamps and dies, and some other products. First of all, Heffy Doodle's clover frames. Then we've got this, I'm going to use this oval shape from MFT Tremendous die set. That's actually what inspired this whole project because I thought it looked like an Easter egg. I'm also going to be using the Easter Heffy cuts from Heffy Doodle. And I'm using the Avery L Falling Snow die to create some texture on one of my eggs. Also the Lawn Fawn Valentine's borders. I'll use this cute little scalloped edge here, and MFT's Blueprint Sketch 28 and Lawn Fawn's Snowy Backdrop, and of course let's not forget Heffy Doodle's Honey Bunny Boo stamps and dies. For my inks for this project, I'm using some dye inks mainly. I've got 3 dye inks from Vivid, and I'm also using my new Lime Ricky from Catherine Pooler. I'm starting off with an A2 folded card blank, and I've also got another A2 piece of card here. I noticed there's a mark on it, but that's okay. I'm just going to turn it over and use the other side. Now I want this to have that beautiful stitched edge that you can get from these dies, but my card's already cut down to A2 size. So this is what I do when I want to get that stitching on a piece of card that's already the exact size of the die. I take my top plate from my die cutting machine, turn it upside down, and then nestle my A2 piece of card right inside the cutting line, and it should fit perfectly. Then I can tape it to my top plate of my die cutting machine, put the bottom plate on top, flip it over and run it through. Now I've got that stitching all the way around, and I can focus on the rest of my card. So this is that tremendous die that is supposed to be a tree, but it looks like an Easter egg to me, so I'm going to pop that on there. And I actually die cut a couple of these first of all, just so that I could visualize if there was going to be enough room to put 4 of them on the card. So here you can see what this will look like, the placement of where I want them to be. So I'll run this through my Big Shot 4 times until I have 4 little Easter egg ovals on this top panel of my card. Now I'm going to keep each one of these little ovals because I'm going to be inking them up today. I've picked out 4 coordinating colours, and using a mini blending foam tool thingy-majiggy-bob, I am going to add some colour to each of these oval shapes. I'm going to focus mainly on one kind of corner, the bottom section, and then fade out to white at the top. And that really gives your shape a bit more shadow or shading, so it looks like it's more dimensional when it's finished. I also want to give the illusion of texture, so I have used a couple of my dies from my stash, like this Lawn Fawn Snowy Backdrop die, to cut out some apertures, little holes and stars and things in my purple egg. And I'm going to do the same with another one of my eggs using the blue Vivid ink. Once again, I'll bring some of that color to my ink, concentrating and making the color darker at the bottom section. And this time I'm going to use the Snowy Backdrop die by Avery L, and this one's a bit skinnier, so I needed to run it through my die cutting machine twice, but I love how it turned out. It looks like a little speckled egg. It looks so pretty. I can't wait to make another card with this, especially in that blue color. I don't know, it looks like a robin's egg or something. I think it's cute. So for my 2 other eggs, I'm going to use the yellow and the green ink, and those ones I'm actually not going to die cut into those colors, but instead layer up some other die cuts on top. I've picked out these 2 dies from the Blueprint Sketch 28 from MFT, and you can actually layer this circular one inside the banner and stick them together. And then I'm going to just use some white cardstock to bring some more of that bright white into my project. So I'll cut that out of some white cardstock, And then I'll be able to lay this on top of my egg, and it'll kind of look like a ribbon going across the egg, like a proper Easter egg kind of thing. That's what I was going for anyway. For my other Easter egg, I'm going to be using this beautiful scalloped edge. This is actually the Lawn Fawn Valentine's Borders die, and I'll run this through my desktop die cutting machine once, and then I'll flip it over and cut it out again so that I am left with a beautiful kind of like a lacy strip. I'll use my glue pen here to adhere these right on top, and I'm using my Sticks to Anything glue pen. I'm really enjoying this glue pen. It's kind of new to me. I got it earlier this year, and it's a two-way glue pen, so if you use it straight away, it's permanent. If you let it dry, it is repositionable, and I'm really loving it so far. So you guys should check that out. So once I have these stuck down and they have dried, it just takes maybe 30 seconds. I'll use the egg tree die again and run that through my machine, and it cuts off all the excess, but it also gives that beautiful stitched effect along the outside edge of the white section to match the rest of my egg. Now let's get stamping. I'm going to put a sentiment in the middle here, and I'm using a sentiment from the Honey Bunny Boo stamp set from Heffy Doodle. I thought it would be fun to use this hoppy sentiment, and I will lay it down in my Misty here just so I can get the placement just right. And I'll put it in the center section but slightly towards the top because I want to add the word Easter as well. I'll pick up my stamp using the lid and then ink that up using my Memento Tuxedo black ink, which is always my go-to ink when it comes to black inking. Before I add acetate to the back of this top section, I'm going to line it up on top of my note card and then add a little adhesive in each of these egg-shaped holes so I can pop my eggs right in there. And this means that when I have my card all assembled, each of these eggs will be perfectly positioned through each of the little windows on my shaker card. I decided to put the purple and the blue on opposite corners and the two eggs with the little ribbons on opposite ends as well. I thought that was more balanced. Let's add some tape to the back of this front panel now and add some acetate right on here. Now let's talk about building up my shaker sections. So now I'm going to have different colored acetate, sequins, in each of these 4 sections. So I need to make 4 little compartments to make sure that the sequins don't mix together. I've got some foam tape here that I actually bought off eBay. I don't like it. I kind of hate it, but I've determined to use it up. It's super sticky and it gunks up my scissors. But I've found that if I lay it down on a piece of sticker backer paper, I can use my craft knife to cut through the foam, but not cut through the sticker paper. And that helps me get through this mega roll of tape, which, to be fair, I'm nearly finished, so that's good. So now I have 4 little compartments. Each of my eggs are have a little foam wall around each of them, and I'll use my powder tool just to rub around the inside of the foam to get rid of any sticky residue that's in there, because sometimes if there's any sticky residue, the sequins and beads can stick to it and you don't get as much movement in your card. Now when I'm assembling my shaker cards, I like to use my Misty as an alignment tool. I take out the foam and then nestle my card base up into the corner and remove all of the backer tape, the contact paper on the back of my foam, and then shake in my sequins. So I've decided that I would use the colors that match each of the Easter eggs, along with some clear seed beads as well. So I'm using sequins from Lucy's Little Things. I've used some from Honeybee Stamps and also some from Studio Katia as well in my little stash of sequins. Now I'm ready for my top panel. I will position it into the top corner of my MISTI, layer down, and it will be perfectly aligned. And to make sure I get a good contact all over, I will put that foam pad right back in on top, close the lid again, and that means that the foam all over has stuck down nicely. While I've got my MISTI here, I'll move over to stamping these cute little bunnies from the Honey Bunny Boo stamp set from Heffy Doodle. Once again, I'm using my Memento Tuxedo black ink because I'm going to be doing some Copic colouring. Now these guys are so simple. At Heffy Doodle, I like to have simple designs that's easy to colour, and I promise you, I think I used three colours, I guess. So W0 first of all, to lay down a little bit of colour along the edges, and then I came in with a darker W1 and blended it out again with my W0 and a colourless blender, and then a little R20 dot on the cheek, and I coloured both my bunnies in exactly the same way. Now these bunnies do have coordinating dies, and see this little guy, can you see that the die cuts around his paw, so you can tuck things into it. It's really fun. Now we're not actually going to be tucking anything into his paw today, but the good news is that the die cuts right along the stamping line, so it's pretty much invisible. You can't see it, it's not noticeable unless you tuck something under there. So now I have my bunnies. I need the word Easter, and I'm using the Heffy Cuts Easter Heffy Cuts brush letter die from Heffy Doodle, and I will cut this out 4 times. This is why I love my little desktop die cutting machine. It's so handy for things like this. So I've pre-cut 4 of these, but I wanted to show you another way to get your die cut out of the die is by putting your washi tape on the back and then easing the actual card out of the die. You can of course just use your pokey tool to poke through the holes as well, but if you pull it out with the washi tape, then there's not as much stretching. You don't get as much stretching as if you just pull out with your fingers. Let's layer up these Easter dies one on top of the other, and I like to line up the middle letter first of all, and then use my fingers to make my way out to both left and right to make sure that they are layered up perfectly on top of one another. Now I needed to make sure that this was going to pop against my background, so I'm introducing a 5th colour to my card. I thought I'd go for some picked raspberry distressings, and I want to have an ombre effect on the bottom of my word Easter, but for me it's easier if I turn the word sideways. I turn it 90 degrees so that I'm inking the right hand side of the word, even though technically it's the bottom of the word. You know what I mean. So I'll add a lot more colour to the bottom and then ease it up with a lighter tone towards the middle of the letter, and then I'm ready to stick it onto my card. So for this, I'm actually going to use a different adhesive. I thought I would grab my Tombow Mono, and that's because I actually haven't tested the sticks to anything glue pen with acetate, and I know that this bad boy sticks real well to my acetate, so I thought I would just go for that while I had it to hand and stick this on. And I'll use the same adhesive to stick my little bunnies onto my card. Now, before I finish up, I just wanted to also grab my Sakura glaze pen and darken up the little bunny's eyes. I like to do this to my critters because the glaze pen dries raised up and kind of shiny. So the light shines off it and it looks kind of like a real eye. It's kind of fun. I love it. Now, before you go anywhere, have a look at the finished card, and then I wanted to mention something that you guys may not know. Every Friday evening at 9 p.m. GMT, so whatever that time that may be with you, I tend to turn on my webcam and do a live crafting stream, and I call this Come Craft With Me. And I tend to make a couple of cards, and it's always fun when things go a little bit wrong and I have to fix them live on air, as it were. but it's so much fun to hang out with you guys. So I'm extending a warm welcome to you guys to come and craft with me. Please do also turn on your notifications on YouTube, because every now and again, when the mood takes me, I will have other live sessions at other times of the week. And every now and again as well, I also have giveaways. So please come and craft with me on a Friday if you're feeling up to it. I hope to see you there. Thank you so much for watching this video. Here's some more videos that you may like. If you haven't already, please subscribe to make sure that you don't miss any of my other videos as soon as they're released. You can also leave me a like and a comment down here, and don't forget to follow me on social media @HungryHeffy. I'll see you there. Have a great day and happy crafting. Bye!